about ask Hank to leave.
Stand up.
Right, Bill?
It's good to be back in this cold and rainy state of Wisconsin, although it looks like the sun's going to come out, and it looks like that's a sign of spring. I spent 2 weeks in Aruba, for those of you who don't know, and was home for a few days, and then went to Las Vegas for a conference. So it was very cold and windy in Las Vegas. They actually were detouring planes to California because they couldn't land, but I was able to get in. Did win a couple $100 at the craps table, so I was happy with that. Now I'm back to reality and ready to get back to the grind. So today's theme, or this year's theme, is to reach within to embrace humanity, and today's invocation will be given by Nick Gilbertson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, President Heather. Those of you who've never given an invocation, see Jamie and volunteer for it. It's a great opportunity to have you think about what Rotary means to you and what message you can give to the club. With that in mind, I looked at some invocations and some different things, and I found one from the District 4050 Governor Chris Offer from about 10 years ago that I thought kind of rings true to the days that we're in now with different opinions, different religions, divisiveness, and things like that. So let us all recall when we were invited to join our Rotary Club. You were not asked if you were a Protestant, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Catholic, a Jew, a Buddhist, or a Sikh. You were not asked because all religions are welcome in the Rotary family. Please join me in a minute of reflection and thanks in these words. With our friends beside us and no person beneath us, with the bounds of Rotary between us and our worries behind us, with our goals before us and no task beyond us, and the thirst for knowledge, and a dream of a polio-free world, we thank all our Rotary friends and the meal we are about to share. Thank you. Shalom. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one visiting Rotarian from the Hawaii Club. Please welcome Dave Collins. We have several members with guests today. Bob Kimball has 2 guests.
I'm going to put you in the front row. Oh. Well, you can still introduce you.
I have 2 guests. My wife, Nancy, who's a realtor, and also the owner of multiple properties, and a voter. My other guest, Terry Milan, who's the Vice President of Business Banking at Johnson Bank. And she also lives in Janesville and a voter.
Dave Manzer has a guest.
I do. I have with me today Frida Polkowski, and she is the owner of Cherry Tree Senior Care Counseling, and they are working at providing currently assisted living in the Janesville and Beloit area, affordable assisted living, I should say. So please make her feel welcome.
John Wickham has a guest.
I have the pleasure of introducing again Carrie Kalinsky. She is the new Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club. And I thank Gary Smith for doing the first introduction. She is also going to join our club. So, Carrie Kalinsky.
I'd also like to introduce guest Bob Fay, who's being sponsored as a member of our club. Please welcome our students of the month. Sharon Kennedy has a student.
Yes, I'd like the club to know Emily Punzo from Parker High School. She gave her speech last week, and she won't be joining us for the next 2 Mondays because she's going to the Washington seminar. So, Emily.
Melissa Myrie has a student.
She's not here today. She'll be here next week.
Let's see. Mark Ackerman has a student.
Mine's absent also.
Okay. How about Mark Lorenz?
We have a winner. My pleasure to welcome again Courtney Kessler. We have a student of the month from Craig High School, and she will speak to us next week.
And Steve Cervantes has 2 students who will be speaking to.
Thank you, Heather. It's my pleasure to introduce from Milton Rachel Weissensel and her mother Louise. Rachel is planning on going into nursing and attending UW Oshkosh in the fall. We also have John Wells and his mother Janet. He plans on studying pre-med at St. John's. So with that, we'll have one of them.
Fight it out to see who goes first. Come on up, John.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Wells, and I'm from Milton High School. My mom is in attendance today, and her name is Janet Wells, and my father is Richard Wells, and they are both electrical engineers working up in Madison. I have one little brother named Andrew, and he's in 6th grade, and a younger sister, Haley, who is a junior at Milton High School. After high school, I plan on attending St. John's University for pre-med. I'll also be doing some wrestling there. Besides wrestling, in high school, I've been involved on the track and cross-country team. I'm part of the Discovering Democracy field study, which goes to DC at the end of March, and also part of the National Honor Society and Spanish Honor Society.
And John's a wonderful gymnast.
Thank you.
The women are in Florida. You did good. We did more central. Women.
Hi, I'm Rachel Weissensel. I also am a senior at Milton High School. I live with my mom and brother in Janesville. My mom, Louise, who's here, is a legal assistant at Fawn's Law Office in Stoughton. My brother AJ is a sophomore in college, and he works at the UPS store in Stoughton. He's going to school at UROC for graphic design, and will be finishing his next 2 years at UW Whitewater. I play soccer, and I coach a 5th and 6th grade soccer team for the Milton Soccer Club. I also read at some Sunday masses at St. Mary's Church in Milton and work in the nursery there. I have a job as an office assistant at Farmers Insurance in Janesville. As for school activities, I'm a class representative for Student Council and an active member of Key Club, Link Crew, and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Because of my involvement in the school and community and my good grades, I earned a spot and am a member of the National Honor Society and Spanish Honor Society. I love people, I love helping people, and through all the things I've been a part of, nursing has always been an interest to me for a career path. This year I put my plan to action and took a course at MATC in Fort Atkinson to become a CNA. Getting a taste of what it was like to be a part of the medical team during clinicals was a great experience for me, and it helped set in stone that nursing was what I wanted to do. I have also always loved kids, so as of now I plan to become a pediatric nurse at UW Oshkosh in the fall, and I can't wait. Thanks for inviting me here this afternoon, and it's been an honor. It's been an honor to have been selected as student of the month.
Couple of quick announcements. I did receive an email from Rotarian Andy Walton. His sense of humor has definitely not been lost with cancer or the treatment. He's decided to go for a stem cell transplant and will be going into the hospital next week for a 3 to 4 week stay. After that, he will be home for a 2 to 6 week recovery period. And he writes, one of the risks of the intensity of the chemotherapy could alter his DNA. While the doctor didn't mention it, Andy is certain that it could also cause monkey traits to emerge. So if he happens to mention a craving for bananas after his procedure, we all know why. And now I think we all know that we need to have bananas here when he comes back. I also want to mention there are sign-ups for the March 30th hockey game on your tables. So if you are interested in going to the hockey game, we're having the tailgate party here and then the hockey game on March 30th. And tomorrow is our dine-in at Noodles & Company. They are offering 25% of sales if you mention Rotary when you go in there, from 11 in the morning till 8 at night. So that gives you every opportunity to get in there for lunch, snack, or dinner, or all three. Please stop by and have some food there to help raise money for Rotary. After today's meeting, John Wickham will be having a Camp Rotary meeting. And now with today's raffle, Melissa Myrie.
Okay. We have $23, and in the big kitty we have 527. So I need somebody. I was going to offer the student next to me, but then it looks like it's cheating. So, who would like to draw? I'm all left-handed, so hard. 932, blue ticket, 932. 932. Students, look at your tickets.
932.
932.
It was right after.
Okay, $23. Yeah. Well, all right, 932 and 527 in the camouflage deck. So. Sorry, I'm trying. I'm a lefty right now. I'm trying my best.
Give me that one.
Okay. Oh, King of Diamonds. Yes?
Well, this goes to Folio.
Okay, Folio Plus.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, if the candidates would like to make their way front, Bill Boyd will come up and start off our program.
Thank you, Heather. Maybe it's the first time I can have my phone turned on during the presentation because I'm going to be timing everybody. Actually, today we're very, very lucky. We're very fortunate to have almost all of our candidates who are running for the 4 open city council seats with us. As most of you know, those seeking election are Jim Farrell, Matt Keeley, Billy McCoy, Andy Murray, Dwayne Severson, Angela Smiley, Michael Southers, Kathy Bosco, and Troy Zindar. Troy couldn't be with us today because he had a prior commitment with work he could not get out of. Only one incumbent, Kathy Bosco, is seeking re-election because council members Tom McDonald and Yuri Rashkin are not running. We'll be using the panel format today, where we'll ask at least 2 questions where our guests will have 3 minutes to answer each. I will inform you when you have 30 seconds left. At the end of the 3 minutes, if you're still talking, a big trapdoor is going to open behind you. You're done. But so we'll try and keep it right on time. Earlier, we put all of your names in a bowl and picked one at a time to get your speaking order for each question. As I call your name to speak, I'll also tell you who is on deck. For the first question, the order will be Mr. Farrell, Ms. Bosco, Mr. Keeley, Mr. Severson, Ms. Smiley, Mr. Zimdars, Mr. Southers, Mr. McCoy, and Mr. Murray. So due to time constraints, what I'm going to be doing today, instead of having everybody tell their own bio, I'm just going to give a short bio on each candidate. And actually, most of it came from the Janesville Gazette. And so I think we're going to start right off with Jim Farrell. Jim is a retired industrial controller. He has 40 years of manufacturing accounting experience. My vast experience in financial management and resource allocation would be a definite benefit to the City Council. I know how to ask the critical questions that should be asked concerning many issues that we in Janesville are facing. I'm very optimistic about the future of the city, but we must maintain the level of the city services that we have for all of our city residents. We must make sure our tax dollars are spent in an optimum way, and we must find realistic and innovative ways to bring jobs and industry to Janesville and make sure our workforce has the best training possible in these jobs. Wow, Jim, I wonder if you ever thought of talking to the people in Washington. I think that would be kind of unique for them to think that way. Matt Keeley owns 3 restaurants and employs 37 people in Janesville. And I can guarantee you, if you've eaten at any of his places, you're not going to go away hungry. Matt said he would represent all views, including the small business person's view. Jobs, attracting and growing businesses are his top priority. His goal is to hold taxes without impacting essential city services. Until the city employees contribute to their health and pensions, we're going to be in a tough spot, he has said. Some city employees began contributing to their pensions in August, but firefighters and police officers do not. Billy McCoy? Billy said he's running because he's had enough. I think we all have. Billy, like people like me on fixed incomes, have to budget our money with what little we get, said Billy, who is retired on disability from GM. He cited recent increases and disagrees with the $10 wheel tax, the $40 fee for garbage pickup, and the 21% increase in water rates. He doesn't believe in the 7-year sidewalk program and does not believe the city should be in the real estate business, noting a recent $1.5 million land purchase for the possible businesses. McCoy also said he would not renovate the riverfront. People can't afford to keep paying more money. Next we have Andy Murray. Andy works in sales now at Northwest Mutual. Congratulations on your new position, by the way. He said he is running because he is committed to Janesville. Andy and his father were the 2010 campaign co-chairs for United Way and is currently a forward Janesville ambassador. Actually, I can tell you, Andy did all the work. His dad was just running for office. But Andy says, I was born and raised in town, and I want my family to have the same things that I have had. Job creation is a major priority. He said another goal is supporting and protecting public safety and making sure police and firefighters have the proper tools to do their jobs effectively. He said the city should look at creative ways to use current staff so jobs are not cut, possibly by reallocating time and resources to other areas. He also would look at ways to generate revenue other than taxes. Dwayne Segerson. Dwayne is finishing his 3rd 3-year term on the Janesville School Board. He said he is running to serve the community and described himself as a fiscal conservative. I think anyone serving 3 3-year terms on the Janesville School Board really should be described as a glutton for punishment. No offense, Dwayne. Dwayne said he is concerned about the direction the council is going. As an example, the council enacted a $10 wheel tax the same night it gave bonuses to city workers. The city used money it saved when employees began paying portions of their retirement benefits. I think the two combined sent a wrong signal to hurting taxpayers in the community, Dwayne said. The council must identify efficiencies and savings so people can maintain their homes and get jobs. Mike Southers. Mike is a computer support specialist for Rock County. He said he wants to serve the community and that he has common sense attitudes. He said Janesville is on the upturn, and he said he would like his kids to be able to look back and know their dad was part of the rebuilding process. I'd like to leave it the way it is in a better place, he said. For instance, he said he'd love to see GM reopen. Yeah, okay. And he'd like to see the new St. Mary's Janesville Hospital act as an anchor for other surrounding developments, such as motels and restaurants. But he said he would closely watch incentive packages so the city gets guaranteed returns. Angela Smiley. Angela said she is running to help and serve others. She wants to provide local services in the most affordable manner and maintain the quality of life here. Angela said she doesn't have any priorities because every issue is a priority for someone. She would listen to the residents. It's about what the citizens want. Budget cuts are inevitable, and Smiley hopes to focus on them together as a community, getting as many people involved when decisions are made. Her goal is to minimize sacrifices and maximize prosperity. I'll take the prosperity side. Kathy Bosco. Kathy works in sales for Pfizer. Kathy is completing her 2nd 2-year term on the council. and she has sat on the Planning Commission and now serves as the chair of the Planning Commission and sits on the Downtown Development Alliance. Kathy's got a lot of spirit behind. Bosco said she is running to continue service to the community and so that she can continue to advocate for those who earn lower incomes. Bosco's priorities include economic development, blight elimination, and redevelopment of the downtown. Her goal is to keep taxes at their current level, and she believes the city should also continue moving toward transparency in government. Troy Zimdars could not, as I mentioned earlier, could not be here today. But Troy said he believes he must bring new businesses into Janesville and believes we must not have things to be a burden on the taxpayers. He is running because he doesn't think the council is making good decisions, and he hopes to bring the voice back to the taxpayers. So with that, I think we'll get started right away. Starting with Mr. Farrell, and Ms. Voskuil is on deck. The first question is going to be, as we all know, our city has many financial concerns, and over the past few years, this perceived remedy has been brought to the attention of the council, but it always seems to die somewhere in the process. So if you are elected, how would you address the subject of privatization of services, such as contracting out sanitation pickup, snow plowing, and park and greenbelt maintenance? If it can be shown that this would save the city money, are you in favor of it or against it? Okay, Mr. Farrell.
As far as privatization, concerning privatization, certainly there have been cities that have had successes in privatizing certain services. Is there an opportunity in Janesville? I'm certain there are opportunities. And overall, though, however, I have significant concerns about privatization. We need to keep the services in this city at a first-rate level. And I have read about some cities that have gone to privatization for various things, and they've seen a definite drop. Would there be savings? Because of my long experience as an accountant, I would be interested in seeing a cost-benefit analysis for any service that could be privatized. I would not have a closed mind on the issue. I do have as I mentioned, I'm skeptical overall. I don't think we could consider privatizing our police department, fire department, or maybe our sanitation department. One area that I think we could look at privatizing is our animal control. We spend $200,000 a year for animal control. Now, I'm sure there'd be an investment involved by the city for that to come back to the city, but I guess that would be a reverse privatization. But overall, I would say I'm skeptical about it. I would have an open mind looking at any plan, as I've done my entire career, of analyzing the data and making a decision after I've seen the data. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Kathy?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. The short answer to this is I understand the concern about privatization. Everyone is concerned about job loss, regardless if it's private sector or public sector. I get that. I think most of us do. I think the other thing, too, though, is that regardless if it's private or public sector, that all workers need to be treated fairly. That being said, I think what we need to realize is that when we are looking at jobs in the public sector of services that we provide to the citizens, we need to identify if there are skill sets or specialty services that we would like to provide the citizens that we do not have in-house. We need to be able to compete with the private sector to do that. And so my main concern about privatization is that we cannot turn any opportunity down. We, as an evolving community, need to review each and every project as it comes forth, each and every service as it's provided to us as a council, to make sure that we are doing what we say we want to do, which is, keeping your taxes low and providing good quality of life services. So the short answer is, I guess, rather long, but I would not be opposed to looking at a combination of privatization as well as currently what we have in the public sector. I think we cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that our world has been evolving and will continue to evolve, and we need to be able to compete with the private sector. So I think, I can't believe I haven't used up all my 3 minutes.
Me neither.
I mean, I know. I'm sure I'll make up for it. Can I get a credit?
No.
Okay. May I get a credit, I should say. Excuse me, students, I was part of the property.
Thank you, Kathy. Mr. Keeley?
Again, thank you for having us today. As far as privatization, I think there's some services that I think the city should just not even consider running. As far as our golf courses, we don't have the city staff to maintain our golf courses. I think that's a fine example of a contracted service that we're already privatizing out. Animal pickup was done. I think, again, that's another service that we don't have the job set on city staff. It would be my responsibility if elected to look at and bring back to the taxpayer that cost-saving difference. If we want to maintain our police and fire, we're going to have to make tough cuts. My goal at the end is to hope that when we do the cost analysis difference, that there's not a dramatic savings between public and private in some of these, and it wouldn't justify it. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Severson?
Thanks, Bill. One thing I didn't put in the newspaper article for Bill to quote Emma, Janesville Morning Road Reportarian, so why do they have that?
Not saying
it. The City Council's job is to provide the highest quality services to its citizens at the lowest cost. So I think with that charge, we have to look at all the tools given to us. We can debate whether or not those tools, we like those tools, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a question coming up. But the reality is we need to provide all the services that we have at the lowest possible cost. So would I be in favor of privatization? I think it has to be looked at, and depending upon the service. I think police and fire, it would be a tough stretch to privatize that. But any other service, I think we have to keep our eyes open to that. We have to look at all the variable costs involved, not only the labor cost, we have to also look at the capital cost. Have we invested capital already for a particular service that if we sub it out to somebody else, well, we have a sunk cost on that capital that we can't recover. So if we look at the entire cost involved and maintain the same quality, then yeah, I think we need to do that. It's the same process individuals, families go through that we're going through right now, which is, can I provide for my family? Can I shop for food differently? Can I buy gas at a different location? Can I get clothes somewhere differently? We're all doing that comparative shopping. We're trying to make it as easy as we can for our citizens to enjoy the services of Janesville. So we have to look at the best cost possible. So yes, I would be in favor of that.
Thank you, Dwayne. Ms. Smiley?
Thank you again for having me. I'm typically not one that supports the privatization, as I view them as purely profit-driven, versus having an investment in the quality or the level of services that they're providing. The other point of this is that, is it in the best interest of taxpayers? When, as a public entity, you're paying a chunk of money towards a private contract, and do you know how those tax dollars are then being spent within that contract? And a lot of times what we are finding is that we don't know how it's being spent until it's almost too late, and until we start seeing some of the negative consequences, the lower quality of services that we're seeing, or mismanagement of those funds. And as a public employee, I have a background in dealing with some private contracts, and typically they go to the lowest bidder. That is how those are given out and awarded. Lowest bidder doesn't always mean the highest quality and maintaining the levels that we expect as citizens and as taxpayers in this community. And once those contracts are awarded, it's very difficult to come back on them and to withdraw them or to take them away and to address some of those issues if they're meeting, even if at the very minimum, or that average level of within the guidelines of that contract. So in the end, are we really saving money? I'm open to discussion on this. This is not something that I'm set in stone with. I think that it is very important to look at many aspects of what are the tools in front of us to address some of the financial concerns that we have for the city of Janesville. But I would like to look at building more public-private partnerships versus privatizing these services. So,
Thank you, Angela. Excuse me, Mr. Southers.
Thank you again for having us here today. In regards to privatization, I think if you say yes or no and make it black or white like that, you should not be on council. Council cannot be yes or no. It needs to be open-minded and consider everything that's a possibility if we're going to be the honest guardians of the taxpayer dollars. Now that being said, yes, I do believe there might be an opportunity for some privatization. I think the first thing you need to look at is what's the service that you're going to be looking at privatizing. You know, simple things like leisure services and golf courses. Okay, bring me a contract. Show me the references of the person who's doing it and how much is it going to cost. Is it going to be something where we might be able to go ahead and sell the land, the golf course, to a person? Would that be a better choice? And who's going to be providing the equipment, the lawnmowers and the greens, maintenance equipment, in order to go ahead and do it, if it's going to be a management structure? You also have to consider things like waste management. You know, that might be really good that, sure, some sanitation waste management company wants to come in and do it. But what happens if they get bought out? What happens if the trash isn't picked up? What happens if they run into financial problems and now we have trash out in the curbs? And many of us probably remember the days of New York City when trash collection wasn't being done and they ended up into health issues. So one of the things I've seen working for Rock County is well-intended contracts that privatize things that are being done by county employees ending up in dispute. Right now, an example that's going on with the county is the commissary vendor is being released right now. So depending upon what you have for timelines, going back through an RFP process could be extremely time consuming. It could be something that's going to be affecting the taxpayers in the long run. So in summary and for privatization, yeah, if somebody has an idea, bring it up. I don't think if you're going to be an honest guardian of the taxpayers' money, you can make this a yes or no answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Mr. McCoy.
Well, it seems like everybody agrees on the same thing. Yes and no question is the truth. I do agree that we should, on some of our things in our city, we should have privatization and have contracts out there on certain things. As well as everybody knows, this issue was brought up at the women's thing the last week with the kids, with my sons and everything that are volunteer firefighters. There is one area that is a dual. They are paid 3 days a week, and the rest of the time is all volunteer. He's a lieutenant. Now the other oldest boy is in a different community. It's all volunteer. And there is things in the time that we are going to have to look at privatization from now on, because a lot of us don't have the money to keep on affording the high increases and everything else of the wages as we are being forced into paying. Where we're going to get it at. How many more people we're going to put out of their homes in foreclosures? This is where it's at. And I have no problem in privatizing of some of the stuff that we have in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Mr. McCoy. Or, excuse me. Sorry, that was you. Sorry, Andy.
Sorry, we gave Bill a microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Newton Rotary. I see a lot of people out here who I strive to be and want to work with. A lot of people who care about our community and give a lot back. So thank you for doing that. You know, Mike kind of alluded to this, but nobody really talked about losing control, accountability. When you're contracting and privatizing a lot of jobs, who knows if they're going to go bankrupt? You don't have control over when they're going to pick it up. Who's doing background checks on their employees, because that is a complete representation of the city of Janesville. And so basically I am against privatization. The only way maybe that we're going to get better at efficiencies is actually talking to people on the street, our city employees, because they are there every day in and out. So if we talk effectively, have an open dialogue with them, we can find efficiencies. Now, my characteristics are such that I'm an approachable young man. I'm very open-minded. So everything is going to be situational. If there's a good case, I'm going to do my best to surround myself with a sphere of influence, do the research, roll up my sleeves, and make informed decisions based on the taxpayers. So thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, our second question is going to be, the order will be Mr. Severson, Mr. Murray, Ms. Bosco, Ms. Smiley, Mr. McCoy, Mr. Farrell, Mr. Southers, and Mr. Keeley. The second question is going to be addressed first to Dwayne. As we speak with the citizens of Janesville, everyone has an opinion on the parking plaza that spans the river. We know the DNR will make us remove it in the next few years, and that's not up for debate. One thing we'd like to know, if you're elected, what do you propose for the riverfront and the needed parking area?
Thanks, Bill. First of all, I think the community has benefited by having the parking plaza there for almost 50 years. But times change and it has to be removed, it would appear. The Rock River is a real beauty for our community, and I think it's something we need to develop it as a location, as a destination point for people in the region to come and see. So I think we need to continue to work together as a community, both the city and also private, to bring businesses downtown, develop the downtown, develop the entire riverfront area. What does that mean? Museums, shops, stores, etc. But I think we need to make it a place where people want to come. Where to put the folks, where to put the cars, again, that's going to have to work. We're going to have to work on that, to find locations. I think if we do it collaboratively, we can find locations throughout the downtown where it's not too far to park away from the businesses. But I think working together, we can make the downtown area a real destination point, not only for Janesville and close by, but also, again, in the region. We have folks that come here for the Rotary Gardens, for the Tallman House. I think it's downtown could be another location for people to come to and really make Janesville a place to come and visit. Thanks.
Thank you, Dwayne. Andy?
So, for those of you who go downtown and you look around, it's pretty dirty. A lot of cobwebs, needs to be cleaned up. Obviously, we had a 2008 flood. I think we really need to focus on cleaning that up. Downtown development, Mr. Eckert's here, you can appreciate it. I'm a gentleman and a thought of opening up satellite campuses downtown to encourage our youth to come in here, educate our public, and that also will encourage businesses to open up and the social economic changes we're seeing right now. And the best way to do that is provide educational systems and for people to actually come downtown. We have beautiful parks as you see here today. I remember there used to be a BMX bike, I used to come here down and ride my bike here. We have beautiful ice age trails. But what else are we doing to keep people here to spend their money? They come here, they ride their bike, and then there's nothing else for them to do, so they go home. We need to encourage that. We have great parks, we have great schools, and we have great public safety. So it's important that we clean up that downtown to make it look appealing for people to want to stay. We have a lot of empty buildings down there, a lot of leases, focusing on what we can do to retain businesses and grow it that way as well. Now for the parking structure, it looks like it needs a lot of work. There's a lot of available land and other locations where we can maybe see a good fit for parking lots and for people to have access to parking. So it's imperative to really kind of clean up the downtown to make it appealing for people and to do some more downtown development, which I am a proponent of. So thank you.
Thank you. Kathy?
Well, first of all, I am extremely excited about the removal of the parking plaza. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm excited about it. Because I believe that this truly will be one of the largest, potential largest private-public partnerships that will have in the city of Janesville. And I know the question was posed to what do I think about it, but I think the opportunity here is what do we think about it? What do the downtown development, downtown business owners think about it? What do the business owners out on Milton Avenue think about it? What do we as a community think about removal of the parking plaza? Yes, we have to address the issues of parking, but at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is changing the streetscape as well as the landscape of downtown Janesville. Being able to open up that area and expose the river will provide, if you think about it now, the ability to have business on the Main Street side and also potentially on the opposite river side. So we have a lot of potential with the removal of the downtown parking lot. I think the key here is going to be how we communicate that going forward, how we engage the public in the process. This is our city, and we need to make sure that we're all engaged in that process. So I'm ecstatic about the removal of the parking plaza. Again, there will be some challenges, but I think we're all up for this challenge because it will maintain the existing businesses that are there. It will drive additional business down. And let's not forget, there are people, even within the city of Janesville, that don't make the venture down to downtown Janesville. So we're not necessarily always talking about people coming from other communities. We need to get a lot of our own neighbors and friends to start coming to downtown Janesville as well. So I view this as an extremely exciting time. The biggest challenge, or one of the bigger challenges, is going to be how do we fund it? How long do we take to get the ball rolling? I know there's a lot of invested individuals, be it within Forward Janesville, the Downtown Development Group. You know, we have a lot of opportunity here, and I know change is difficult, but I truly believe this is going to be, and I hate to use a cliche phrase, but it's a game changer for downtown Janesville. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Angela?
I know when Bill gave my bio, he talked about change being inevitable, and this is an example of that. And it, obviously, it's uncontrollable for the city of Janesville. And as your city councilwoman, I think it's my duty to try to look at the impact of what this change is going to make for the citizens, for our future growth, and for the businesses that are located downtown currently, and whether or not we can continue to promote and grow more businesses for downtown. I think starting out, you need to be proactive to go out and reach out to the businesses that are located downtown currently and how it's going to impact them, whether it's the parking. What is their vision? What are their thoughts on how can we address this issue? Same thing with the riverfront. What do they see? They've been there, they're established, they're invested in the downtown area, and their opinions and their ideas are very important. Same with the citizens. How would they, this is again a change that is going to be inevitable. What are your thoughts on where would you, the accessibility of parking? What are your ideas? How would you like to enjoy downtown? What would you like to see for a riverfront? So again, it's about open dialogue and getting, reaching out, being accessible and approachable, and being proactive with that. A lot of times that we find that if we say, hey, we're open for ideas, but if we don't go looking for them ourselves as your city leaders, we don't get it necessarily as much of a response. I've noticed that as a committee member of the Alcohol Licensing Advisory Committee. So again, it's about reaching out to the downtown businesses that are there, the citizens that are here, as well as about working with our economic development leaders, and how can this help promote future growth for the economy of Janesville.
Thank you, Angela. Billy?
Personally, I hate to see the thing go. I'd like to see it there. Of course, we don't have a choice because DNR is going to make us move it. But I still think we've got another 14 to 25 years to look at that we can still fight them on this. This mandated thing that they're trying to pull. They try to pull it up in the north, around some of the other areas around McFarland and things like that on different ordeals. But needless saying that, I mean, there is other places downtown that we have places already available that we could put parking across from Parker Penn. Empty lot, the city, I think, still is now owners of it. There's other areas down there, and with the present one that we have now, it's not even full half the time. So I mean, it's further away from a lot of people doing shopping. Personally, I don't do much shopping downtown. I pay the water bill, Ace Hardware, maybe go down and get a battery at that one shop, and that's it. Other than that, there's not much downtown. I don't know why, and I've had a lot of people that ask me, says, why did we shut that street off in the first place? You want a DA cat to go through the door so they can open the street up. I've heard that too. So with the citizens of Janesville, enough money has been spent on foolishness, and as well, we've already got areas that we can put parking, and hopefully we will not have to continue on doing what the DNR wants us to in these mandates. We need to start fighting these mandates. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Jim?
I think we need to look at, this is a broader issue. We need to look at the downtown parking in general. I am not sad to see that parking ramp leave, but I go to the Senior Citizen Center. I volunteer there a couple days a week. They don't have parking. I've heard nothing but complaints there. We need to look at the whole situation as far as parking downtown. There are many good assets downtown. Our public library, the JEC, Riverfront Athletic Club, the Senior Citizen Center. There's a lot of good things down there. I think there are solutions that can be taken to solve the 283 spaces that will be lost by taking down this ramp. Vertical parking, I know that is costly, but I think that should be something looked at, maybe in a private-public partnership on that. I think there's some banks down there that might be interested in that. I think we know that ramp is going to be leaving. I think the input from people that own businesses, especially like the Old Town Mall, which will be severely impacted, Riverfront Athletic Center, we need to ask them, what do they feel are viable solutions. But I certainly don't think this is a negative. I think it's something we have to do right now. Let's find some creative ways to add more parking to downtown. There's a lot of things we could do to enhance our downtown, and this would be one of the first steps to improve the parking. So I think we could definitely come up with a workable solution if we have all the parties involved, especially the downtown business owners, give their input on this situation.
Thank you, Jim. Mike?
I see I'm in the minority. I'm going to miss the parking plaza. I'm 40 years old. I remember going down there and my dad parking and opening up the back end of the station wagon and sitting there to watch fireworks. I remember sitting there and going down there until Labor Day, and when I had kids I did the same thing. So it has some fond memories for me. That being said, we've been told it has to go. So the question is, what do we do? I think one thing that's critically important is business plans. The downtown businesses know what it takes to get their customers there. We need to partner with them. We need to listen to them. And like one of the things I mentioned earlier when we were talking about privatization, I think everything's on the table. Maybe we need to talk about changing Milwaukee Street back into a two-way street, maybe with angled parking. Maybe we need to look at, shutting down Main Street except for pedestrian traffic. But the question is what's going to work for the downtown? If the council just comes in and randomly and arbitrarily comes in and says, oh, this is what we're going to do, and it doesn't fit the downtown business's plans.
A little better understanding. In September of 2007, we held a study session specifically on the sidewalks in the city of Janesville. In November of 2007, we had a public hearing where we discussed the pedestrian transportation plan as well as the sidewalk plans, and we divided the pedestrian transportation plan into priorities of a first plan and a second plan. And initially when we looked at the plan, there were 63 miles of sidewalk that we were going to incorporate in the plan. But when we looked at the rural areas as well as the no curb and gutter, we decided to delay that periphery and we brought it down to approximately 45 miles of sidewalk. The pedestrian transportation plan took into consideration the comprehensive neighborhood plans, which did go to the Plan Commission, as well as neighborhood plans that did not have Plan Commission input. And we looked at bike trails, the safe route to school, and the intent of this plan is to close the sidewalk gaps. The first round criteria in that pedestrian transportation plan were bus routes, arterial streets, commercial zoning, high density zoning, quarter miles and half mile distances from schools. In January 2008, we adopted the sidewalk plan, but we also on the same night amended it with a 7-year implementation, and we directed that it would be delayed into 2009. In April 2010,
30 seconds, Kat.
Okay, I'm hurrying. April 2010, we changed the notification process for an advance notice to be in early May, which brings us to today. We are essentially talking about 5.1 miles of sidewalk. The city loan program, we changed the interest rate from 6% to 3%, which would be retro to 2011, and you can utilize a special assessment on your property tax bill, which the first payment would be due in 2013 on your property tax bill. So I'd be more than happy to talk about this after, because I'm in the spirit of having other individuals talk about this. But at the end of the day, this is a plan that's been evolving over time. We have had public input. Can we tweak it? Absolutely. But I think it's important that people understand the process of how we got to yes or no. Short answer, I would continue to support the sidewalk plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Matt?
Sidewalk's been a very tough one for me. Anybody who talks that has a sidewalk wants everybody else to have one. Those that don't want one. The last 3 years, I believe, they chose to continue forward with the plan. I would not support stopping the plan. I would be very, but on that said, I would not have supported the original plan. I feel we're 3 years into this, it needs to be continued. I would be open to modifications, school zones, maybe going off traffic counts. But I think there's definitely room to look at this, but just to all of a sudden throw our hands in the air and say we're done, I don't think is the correct solution.
Thank you, man. Dwayne?
Sidewalks is a tough one. It's a tough one, and I appreciate Kathy's explanation for it. I think the big difference is between 2007 and 2008, we're in 2012. In the perfect world, we would continue that plan. Nobody's living in the perfect world. Everybody, every business, every individual, things change. And I think you have to change, and that's one of the reasons I'm running, because I think you have to be a little flexible. We're living in some uncommon times. And to say we're just going to keep forward and keep slapping down cement, I think you're not being realistic as to what people are living. Is it inequitable because some folks have already paid for it? Yeah, possibly. I can't take the cement out of the ground. But going forward, I think that's sort of full steam ahead. You know, that's not looking at reality. That's not looking at what people are actually experiencing each day. So no, I would not support moving ahead with it. I think it has to be back on the table for discussion. It has to pause when the economy turns around. I think it's a great idea to maybe look at it again. But let's put our time and our effort to looking at reducing job creation and get some jobs back in our community. Let's work on that instead. Thanks.
Thank you, Dwayne. Angela?
Well, with the sidewalk plan, I can appreciate the sense of community and that the plan addresses, as well as the public safety aspect that it addresses. I think that this is something that needs to be open for discussion. I don't believe that this area, as we're moving forward in the campaign and as your city councilwoman, this is a gray area for me because I have not had enough time to really gather the information. I haven't been able to get out to talk to the citizens that it's affecting. I know it was mentioned about the trees. I do know that several of the sites that I've been looking at, you know, if someone told me I had to pull out my giant maple, I would not be very happy, and that has a negative impact on things. Having said that, is scrapping the whole plan really what we're doing? You know, I don't know the answer to that because I haven't had enough time with all the other issues that we're looking at addressing to really dig into that. That's why it's about reaching out to the community members that it's directly affecting, as well as the surrounding areas, as well as economic development. It's getting everyone's voice to come forward and then making a decision on that. So is it a gray area where I'm at? I think it can be because it's about information gathering and representing the voices of the community.
Thank you, Angela. Mike?
If I understood you right, Kathy, you said 2007 is when we started stuff. It's been 5 years. How many of you as business owners don't go back and relook at your business plan after 5 years? Numerous city staff that were involved with the original creation of that plan have left. Over half the council has changed. I think as a business owner, you'd want to be going back and looking at your business plan, especially if you haven't done it within 5 years, and I think the council should do the same thing. Numerous things have changed, and maybe it is time for us to change the plan. The economy is the one that pops into my head. With that said, I personally like sidewalks. I have sidewalks. I don't like walking in neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks. But I also think that it comes down to a responsibility that if you're in a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of kids, you're not on a safe route path, Is there a necessity for you to have a sidewalk? Maybe, maybe not. That's why we need to go back and revisit the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Billy?
There's been a lot of you guys call me on the telephone about this one. I've been totally against this thing from the beginning. After it started, some people have called me at the same time it was going on. They was getting screwed over, excuse the way I put it. That's exactly what they got done. Come out and mark their sidewalks and turn right around and say, well, this has got to be repaired, this got to be taken out. And there was nothing wrong with the sidewalk because when the fall releases, it goes back down. When you get normal heat and everything else, in the winter it came back up. Well, then some of the cracking, some of the people got charged for 1, 2, 3 different sidewalks that there was nothing wrong with the sidewalk in the first place. Even in my own neighborhood over on Putnam. I've been, just like I said, totally against this. And I would be voting to stop it because where our economy is in this community, people cannot afford any more add-ons to their property taxes. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Andy?
All right. So this is a quality of life and a safety issue. As new Rotarians, it's your duty to go out and find youthful folks like our high school people here to encourage education and propel them for the future. Now with that said, we've been in 2 years of the 7 plan already, and the city has worked out plans. 85, if an owner wants the city to put in sidewalks, the city will help take care of 85% of that cost. Another option is the fact that the city is willing to work with residents on a 5 or a 10-year plan. And then thirdly, after the 7-year plan, from date going forward, they are going to be putting in sidewalks on new development. So I'm a proponent of moving forward with the sidewalk plan because we're already in 2 years. So, you know, how can you say, okay, we're just going to stop after all these other residents have put in thousands of dollars? It's really not fair to all the other taxpayers. So I am in favor of continuing the plan, continuing the course, because there are solutions in place that our council members have put in there to make sure that going forward we're going to be taking care of it and the safety is there. So thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you all. I really like to thank you on behalf of Rotary for coming out here today. I know you guys are being pulled in every which direction, especially this next couple weeks. And I really do appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming. And all I can say is I'm really glad that I live in Milton, so I don't have to worry about this. Thank you.
We are adjourned. Thank